I honestly never thought that I would be defending Nalu like this, but this seriously needs to be said. By the way, this whole thing is unscripted, so if I say anything that's a little out of line, I'm sorry in advance. So I'm not gonna do some stupid introduction or anything that I would normally do in my videos because, in all honesty, this is something that seriously needs to be said because this is a very serious topic, for me at least. I'm not sure about anyone else, but to me, this is something that I feel really, really needs to be said. So honestly, I never thought I would be revealing this to my audience, but in all honesty, when it comes to the topic of abuse, I take something like that very seriously, especially considering that I am a victim of abuse myself. My mom married a couple of guys who just weren't all that great, and yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see where that story goes from there. And to be honest, if there's one thing that I really hate about Tumblr is that ever since people figured out what abuse, toxic, problematic, what those words are basically meant for, they start using them as though they are buzzwords. I mean, there's also the word pedophilia, but we're not going to get into that. Honestly, that's something that I don't ever want to talk about because, oh my god. For those of you who are unaware, well, honestly, I don't see how anyone else could be unaware because this person likes to cross tag, but I digress. The person goes by the name of Lizana Dragneel X, and oh my god, I never thought I would say this, but they are absolutely worse than Chris Tell's tales, and that says a lot. I'm not even going to bother trying to hide their identity because, in all honesty, what the hell would be the point? They're constantly cross-tagging into other fairy tale ships, so they're basically out there, and there's really nothing that I can do about that. And I know I'm probably going to get bitched at and being all like, well, shouldn't you respect their privacy anyways? I'm sorry, but when it comes to someone who constantly misuses the word abuse to the point where it's insulting, you can go fuck yourself with your privacy. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is with me. Honestly, I don't even know if this person is even going to see this video. To be honest, I hope they do, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. For now, though, what I am going to do is educate this person on what abuse is and how Nalu is not abusive. So everyone knows that there are at least 6 different types of abuse, and we're gonna go over each and every one of them, and hopefully this person will be educated on what abuse is, and maybe they'll stop using it like a fucking buzzword. So the first type of abuse we'll be looking over is physical, which is the type of abuse that almost anyone instantly thinks about the moment the word abuse comes out of someone's mouth. As everyone should know, physical is basically anything that involves punching, hitting, slapping, kicking, strangling, or hell, just physically restraining someone against their will. Also, this could include driving recklessly or invading someone's personal space or making someone feel physically unsafe. This is seriously something that everyone should know. Right off the bat, this person honestly thinks that Lucy hitting Natsu is considered physical abuse. However, here's something that I think they are constantly forgetting. Lucy is rightfully enacting self-defense. I know, right? It's a fucking crazy-ass concept. I mean, who knew that there was such thing as self-defense, right? Am I right? Like, holy shit, that just blows my fucking mind. But no, in all seriousness, Natsu honestly deserves a lot of the things that Lucy does in her self-defense. For example, he constantly comes into her house uninvited. He touches on her body, whether with good intention or not, without her consent, and also he does a lot of things that deserves retaliation, especially considering his idiocy. There is literally a difference between physical abuse and self-defense, and for the most part, Lucy is constantly acting upon self-defense. There is a reason why she is acting in any physical manner to begin with, so no, this is not considered abuse. This is considered self-defense. Fucking check your goddamn facts. I don't know what pisses me off more. The fact that you're constantly using the word abuse as a buzzword, or the fact that you're mistaking self-defense as physical abuse. Seriously, I really don't know which one pisses me off more. The second type of abuse we'll be talking about is sexual abuse, and honestly, that should be pretty self-explanatory. As much as I would like to go into detail about it, I don't want to trigger anyone who might be watching this. For those who wish to learn any details about it, just Google it. Even though sexual abuse basically branches off of emotional and physical abuse, it's still its own identity because it has its own components of forcing your partner into sexual acts or much worse. And Nalu is literally nowhere near the category of sexual abuse. I know, it's fucking crazy. Nalu is not sexually abusive at all. Like, wow, that is, oof, that just blows my fucking mind too. Wow, holy shit. So here's the thing, with Nalu and its fan servicey bits, it's not really anything that would be considered sexually abusive. If anything, it's meant to be comedic relief, and while I understand that's what it meant for, it also comes around unironically, out of context, out of nowhere, or it's just completely unnecessary. And oftentimes, it usually happens because of some dumbass accident by Natsu's idiocy, or it happens because Natsu is trying to be the good guy and he just gets retaliated with Lucy, acting upon self-defense, as I've stated earlier. So yeah, Nalu is nowhere near sexual abusive either. Let's see, I wonder what else we got here. Oh yes, verbal and emotional abuse. As it states in its name, verbal and emotional abuse is, simply what it's called, abuse that is used by words that hurt someone emotionally. And as someone who is a victim of such, I can tell you that Nalu is straight up not verbally or emotionally abusive in the slightest. While yes, we do cut to some scenes where Lucy does in fact Natsu, Lucy doesn't actually mean them for one, and two, Lucy kind of has a right to insult Natsu because of some of the shit he does. And then there's also Natsu, who tends to say some shit without even thinking about it because, he's an idiot. He's basically a child in a man's body. So, and honestly, it's kind of... Nalu, for the most part, is a couple that is supposed to be comedic in all kinds of cliche fashions. So, no, Nalu is not verbally or emotionally abusive at all. Next, we have mental or psychological abuse, where you're basically abusing someone mentally with their mental health and basically breaking down someone's sanity. Not once has there ever been a scene where Lucy or Natsu tears each other down. Sure, there were a couple moments where they had an argument or two and they basically avoided each other like the fucking plague, but that was because, one of them touched upon a touchy subject and then it just went from there. So, no, it's not mentally or psychologically abusive either. If anything, you would be pretty fucking stupid to believe that it is, because I am also an abuse victim of such. So, don't even try. Next, we have financial abuse. Do I even need to say anything? In all honesty, there is no such form of financial abuse whatsoever, and Lucy and Natsu, they actually work together to get their own money. So, no, there's none of that shit going on either. Last but not least, we have cultural or identity abuse, where simply put, they use the aspects of a victim's particular identity as a means of control, or as any means to put them down because of what they are and what they were born with. And no, none of that shit happens either. So there's no such thing as cultural or identity abuse happening within the ship of Nalu. Is Nalu toxic? No, it isn't. Is Nalu problematic? That's a meh. Is it unhealthy? Sure, but only to a certain extent. Because in all honesty, Natsu is full of constant misunderstandings, personalities forcibly mashing together when they don't really fit, and, lack of communication, and constant expectations that are unfulfilled. In all honesty, Nalu could actually work if it's being worked on properly, but, Hiro Mashima is kind of a piece of shit at writing, so, I don't know if that'll happen, but we'll just have to see. So what are my final thoughts on this? Oh my god. Lazada Dragnail X, you really need to either stay the fuck out of Tumblr or actually stop calling Nalu abusive. I hope you understand that you constantly calling Nalu abusive not only offends me, but it also offends other people who are also abuse victims and they don't see Nalu as abusive whatsoever. I know that I don't particularly like Nalu, and trust me, I have a few friends who don't like it either, but here's the thing. We know that it's problematic, well, not problematic, more like unhealthy, but we know that it's unhealthy, but we wouldn't go so far as to call it abuse. It's more or less just a friendship or bond that seriously needs to be worked on. And while it is getting stronger, the shit writing is kind of not giving Nalu a good case in our perspective. So, yeah. Kindly stop calling Nalu abusive. That would be fucking great. Thanks.